single day out here is something different.
We're people, but when I take off this uniform, I'm just like anybody else.
You want to be there for one another.
Everybody has a gut instinct, and you don't really realize how big it plays a factor in things until you actually start having to rely on it.
There's always a toll. You can't do this kind of work and not have it take a toll on you. One of the old guys on my job nicknamed me Duke. I kind of was a little bit like John Wayne when I was younger. But I go by Rob, okay?
Yes, Rob.
All right, guys, let's go see what we can see. Have a great day. We'll see you later. Okay? All right, cool. Good luck, my friend.
You have a good one.
Thank you. Okay, you're out here not only to help out people, but you're also out here to set a good example. You got lights? Is it registered?
Oh, no, I didn't read it.
Register, because that's one less thing that people can break your balls about. Sometimes you can help people, and sometimes you can stick up for people that necessarily wouldn't be able to stick up for themselves. It's been something that I always wanted to do, and I was fortunate enough to be able to pursue it, and here I am, 35 years later.
How are you?
Well, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. Hi.
Hey, Sarge.
Welcome. Good to see you. How are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Good afternoon, everyone. Sergeant Gavell is on the desk.
An autopsy for a 1-year-old child. That is not easy business. So one thing that Sergeant Day mentioned to me was all of you that were there 100% kept you cool and kept your emotions in check. That is appreciated, and let the system work, and maybe they will, meet their maker someday. Okay? Because no child deserves that.
One of the biggest things that I try to do is lead by example. I think it's important that you as a leader not ask the people that work for you to do something that you're not willing to do. We embody that as a command staff. The chief and assistant chief go out on a regular basis and are out here interacting with the community and making arrests and doing police work versus being just in that administrative role. And I think that speaks volumes for them as leaders, and I think it speaks volumes to the men and women that actually follow.
All right, Alex, this is going to be shooting from behind cover. Course of fire is going to be 2 rounds standing, strong side.
I always wanted to be a police officer. I grew up in this city. My father was a firefighter for the city of Manchester. You played cops and robbers as kids, getting the bad guy and keeping people safe and doing good things and helping people, and that's what I wanted to do.
The city of Manchester is roughly 35 square miles. During the week, Monday through Friday, you're looking at probably about 200,000 people in and around working and living in the city. And typical officers, depending on the time of day, anywhere from 20 to 30.
That violent crime is on an uptick this time of year, which is also what we call robbery season.
Our newer officers are saving people's lives on a regular basis because of the profound impact and the number of opioid overdoses that we experience on a regular basis. The Mexican cartel has direct links to the city here. It can be a very busy place.
Pretty much what happened is that was our community policing or gang prevention unit. They stopped that car there, but they had suspicion that there was drug activity, especially with the passenger being literally just released from the station for sales. Ended up running the canine for a drug search to the vehicle and located a quantity of crack cocaine.
I don't necessarily want to say routine because there is no routine call, because it could go from having a conversation with someone to a deadly force situation in that split second.
Had some incidents over the years where things have turned pretty bad pretty quick. Fortunately, I'm still here, so I guess we'll leave it at that.
Being in a cruiser, it's just you don't have that close interaction with people. I'm more of a friendly person anyway, so having this people come up and want to interact with me is phenomenal.
One of the misconceptions of the police department is that we are angry guys that try to ruin people's lives. I had somebody say that to me once, you ruin people's lives.
And we get categorized as them and us, and we don't look at it that way. Like I explained to you, this is a partnership between the city of Manchester and the residents here. So I think the misconception is that we're different than everybody else when we're not.
We want to try to bridge the gap. There's been a lot of negative media for police officers lately, and we want to make sure that people are aware that we are there for them. We do the best that we can to make them happy and comfortable and safe.
We couldn't do a lot of the things that we're able to do as a police department without the help of the community.
We have a very big manpower problem, so scheduling as far as trying to get officers for time off. So the strains and stresses of the job are getting stronger and stronger, and yet they're getting less time to be with their families and have time for mental recuperation.
In today's day and age, putting on the uniform is definitely hard because it's one of those things where police aren't looked at exactly in a positive light anymore. So, you know, at one point in time, if one was a police officer, you put on your uniform at home and you could walk out the door. Now it's not a safe thing to do if people know where you live. Copy, I believe he's walking down the street with her, kind of one of our regulars, so I'm just checking to see if he's negative at this point in time or if he has any active warrants. He got arrested for domestic assault against her, so the state gives him bail conditions not to be around her until court. And he got out on 0 PR, and lo and behold, he's walking with her.
The way bail used to work, we would make an arrest, come in, book our prisoner. We would talk to the bail commissioner, and then based off the seriousness of the crime and the criminal history, they would set a bail that was appropriate for the crime that was committed. The law was changed, which says that if you tell the bail commissioner that you don't have the money to pay for your bail, they will set a personal recognizance bail, which we call a PR bail, meaning that you promise to show up in court. Now what happens is our officers make their arrests, they come in to type their paperwork, and before they're even done typing their paperwork, the person is able to walk out on their promise to show up in court. And what's happening a lot of times is they're not showing up in court. So it's just an horrible circle where we arrest somebody, they get out on PR bail, and they're out shortly after that committing that same crime again. So there are no consequences for their actions. So how is the system working at all in that case?
You know, when I'm at work, you know, I try to be totally dedicated to what I'm doing here at work, and when you're not at work, you try to be dedicated to your family as much as possible. But it's definitely a balancing act, and sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you don't.
My wife will sometimes tell me when she'll actually call me Captain. Hey, Captain, you're not at work. So I notice in my own personal life that sometimes I have to shut it off.
There are often times where you're going to be stuck working, you know, weekends, holidays, and nights. That just goes with the territory.
This shift typically doesn't make it home for dinner. So like the normal things, the little things, you don't get to sit at the dinner table with your kids and discuss how their day goes unless you're off. It kind of changes how you live your life, because at any point in time you could get that call that you have to leave.
You know, and people forget, like, I'm responding to, you know, people who have lost their children. I'm responding to gruesome suicides. I am talking people out of shooting themselves. I am talking people out of, you know, hurting somebody else. I'm pulling people off of bridges. The things that we see and we do on a daily basis have a mental effect on us to begin with. And then you have people trying to tell us that all we care about is hurting other people, and they don't see that side of it. So it can be very discouraging at times. You have to just get through it and have a strong support system, whether it's, you know, your family, your friends, some of our coworkers. I mean, they all understand what we go through. So that's just really important to lean on those people as well.
That blue line symbolizes the brotherhood and sisterhood, because the men and women that you work with. When something happens to another police officer, maybe in another jurisdiction, another state, it affects law enforcement as a whole.
Sworn to protect the public and each other. So I think the blue line represents that, no question. But it also represents what you feel about your job, your community, and the people that you work with.
I had this one kid who I arrested multiple times, and I, would talk with him, and you learn their stories and you try and encourage them to do the right thing. Whether or not they do it is up to them. And one day he came running out of a business wearing a suit. He's like, I've been keeping my eye out for you, and I just want to let you know that I got clean, I am sober, I'm doing well, I'm holding down a job, and I just wanted to say thank you. Needless to say, as a woman, I got back in my cruiser and cried.
We're a family here, and the type of work that we do, you can't find it anywhere else. I enjoy the downtimes. I enjoy the rush of the job. I enjoy the fact that I can get satisfaction from knowing that I had an impact on someone's life.